So today I want to talk about what I call the Triad of Self Defense. These are the three aspects of self-defense that everyone should eventually learn and become competent in. So what are they? Well, there's grappling, there's striking, and there's firearms/weapons training, okay? But it's primarily firearms. So obviously you can tell why they're different, okay? Fights that are unarmed either are going to be in the grappling domain or in the striking domain. And the intermediary between those two domains is wrestling and your ability to take the fight to the ground. So fights generally start on the feet. If someone is, trying to attack me and they're unarmed, I can take them to the ground and I can restrain them, or I can use my striking to knock them out, okay? Both are potential solutions. However, grappling allows you to use a more appropriate escalation of force, okay? Basically, if I'm a boxer, if I'm a Muay Thai guy, my only response to someone who's being aggressive is to knock them out, okay? But that may not always be what you want to do, okay? I call it the drunken uncle problem. If your uncle is drunk at a party and they're being kind of rowdy and kind of annoying, okay? Well, you got to restrain them, but they're your uncle. You probably don't want to knock them out and give them brain trauma, right? So Jiu-Jitsu provides a nice answer to that, okay? You can restrain that person without putting too much damage on them. Now, should they be a serious threat to your bodily safety or that of others, then obviously you can ramp it up and you can take people down hard. You can put submissions on them, joint locks, strangles, chokes, whatever. So it's nice that it allows that appropriate escalation of force. You can also strike, by the way, when you're on top of somebody on the ground, should it be necessary. Now, the other aspect to this is firearms, okay? Obviously, firearms are super important as a means of self-defense because if someone uses a weapon against you, your ability to strike or grapple your way out of that problem is very limited in a lot of cases, okay? If they have a knife, you're almost certainly going to get stabbed. Even if you are eventually successful in winning the fight, you're probably going to get stabbed several times, okay? And you may not die immediately, but there's a good chance you die on the way to the hospital. So we don't want to get in those situations unarmed if we can avoid it, okay? Also, you should just probably run away if they have a knife. Now, if they have a firearm, again, I'm unlikely to strike or grapple my way out of that situation unless they stupidly come very, very close to me. I'm probably going to need to draw and fire my own firearm, okay? Same thing in case of a home invasion. You don't know what kind of weapon that person might have, so having a firearm with you to defend yourself and your family is something that you should consider if you don't have it already. Okay, so if you don't have a firearm already, I highly suggest you get one. I highly suggest you find an instructor and train with it, okay? Don't go to the range by yourself. You wouldn't learn Jiu-Jitsu, you wouldn't learn Muay Thai by yourself, okay? You would have an instructor that is highly skilled in that area to teach you. It's the same thing with firearms. It's much more complicated than just point and shoot, trust me, okay? Now, of those three skill sets, of those three aspects of self-defense, which is the most important for you to learn first? Well, I would argue firearms is the most important for you to learn first, or at least obtain a firearm and get minimal basic training in how to use it with, some degree of competence. Then it's jiu-jitsu/grappling, then it's striking, okay? So why that order? Well, the firearm immediately answers more self-defense problems than the other two do, should you get one and become competent with it, okay? You have an answer to someone putting a firearm on you, pulling a firearm on you, pulling a knife on you. You have answers to someone much bigger and stronger than you threatening your bodily safety or your life, okay? And it's the only thing of those three that makes an immediate difference for a 100-pound woman going up against a 250-pound man, okay? Unless they're extremely highly skilled at jiu-jitsu, it's very unlikely that that 100-pound woman is going to defeat a man that's more than twice her size, okay? But with a firearm, now she actually has a very strong ability to defend her life and safety, okay? If she's competent at drawing and firing, she can empty an entire magazine into somebody who's an immediate threat to her. Even if they're much bigger than her, she empties enough bullets into them, they're probably going to go down, okay? Whereas with jiu-jitsu, again, it's going to take several years, if there's any amount of jiu-jitsu training at all, that it can overcome such a big size and strength discrepancy, okay? Now, the second one is jiu-jitsu. So why jiu-jitsu over striking? Well, if I'm in a striking situation in which, I'm here, maybe the person I'm potentially fighting is like 6-7 feet away from me and they're approaching me, okay? In that situation, I can also use jiu-jitsu, and I can also draw my firearm, or I can just run away. Okay, so I have answers already from the other two components potentially. Okay, especially drawing the firearm and especially running away. Now, if someone's grabbing me, right? So maybe my situational awareness was not good, and someone grabs me. Okay, I don't have a striking answer to that problem, and I don't have an immediate weapons answer to that problem. Okay, because if they're grabbing me, I may not be able to reach my weapon. Okay, so I need to use jiu-jitsu in order to get out of that situation, and then either potentially run away or draw my weapon, or if I'm a striker, knock them out. Okay, so again, jiu-jitsu provides more immediate answers to more problems than striking does on its own. Okay, so again, I'm ranking importance by how many problems does each of these aspects solve. So the firearm solves the most, jiu-jitsu the second most, although I believe firearms to be much more important for you to learn first. And just getting a firearm and taking a few basic classes with it will increase your ability to survive a violent encounter significantly more than just a couple months of jiu-jitsu will, or a couple months of striking will. Now, that being said, striking is important for you to learn, okay? Especially the defensive aspects. Learning how to block strikes, learning how to slip and roll. These are all important skills to avoid damage should you ever get into a fight, okay? So, yeah, you should still learn striking. And if you are a pure jiu-jitsu guy or a pure firearms guy or a pure striker guy, you should, or lady, you should incorporate the other aspects of this triad into your training. It doesn't need to be the primary way that you train. Maybe you really love Muay Thai, maybe you really love Jiu-Jitsu, maybe you just really love going out to the range and shooting, okay? That doesn't mean that you need to completely supplant your training with these other things. Just gain a basic competence in them, okay? You don't need to completely, rewrite your schedule, but you should at least implement these things into your schedule occasionally so that you can slowly develop greater competence in all three. So that's the Triad of Self Defense, guys. Firearms, jiu-jitsu, striking, jiu-jitsu/grappling. There's obviously other grappling martial arts besides jiu-jitsu, but I teach jiu-jitsu, so I kind of use the word a little bit more than maybe I should, speaking more generally, but it's okay. So I hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you share it. Is there someone out there that thinks that their martial art has the answer to all the world's problems? Well, they're wrong. So share this video and make sure that they understand they need to be training in these other aspects. If they're not, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. Make sure you click that notification bell. That way you guys get notified every time we have more videos out there. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time.